The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Old con time, Deion Sanders. Old con time is at it again. This time, acting all spastic and gleeful on a video on Instagram about the impending transfer portal, because we all know that Deion can't really recruit in real recruiting seasons. And he was sort of maybe called out by Rhule of Nebraska, who made a few veiled comments, maybe directed at old con time. Let's talk about it. As you know, there wasn't on the last show, so here they come riding on in. Once again, it's the outlaw posse in effect, and this time I'm bringing out of the gate rather quickly because we got to take down this con that they call, or I call, con time, Deion Sanders. That's right. Seems like old Matt Rhule's had a few veiled comments, maybe directed towards Deion and some of his shenanigans and some of his spastic attributes. But before we get to all that, this is the Outlaw of College Football, acronymically speaking. That's the OCF, also known as JPC, which stands for Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook, spelled Jesse without the I, and on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here. Seems like old Deion's in the news again for basically making an ass out of himself, in my opinion. Now, some people, it might be their cup of tea. They like the loudmouth, Hollywood type, abrasive type. I can't really say that. Sometimes I'm a little abrasive too, right? But this is more of a jackass type abrasion. Deion posted an Instagram video of himself. I'll throw a few screenshots up here in a second. Deion posted an Instagram video of himself dancing about the upcoming transfer portal with the caption, "You know where to find me." Well, of course, he would say that because Deion's not going to get out and recruit no more than he has to. I mean, because, you know, he's used to recruiting against, you know, winning the transfer portal wars, as they call it. I mean, because I've seen a couple of comments from other programs like USC, for example, where they're bragging about how great their transfer portal class was. And now Deion Sanders in Colorado are doing the same thing. They're bragging about how great their transfer portal class is here on 247 Sports. 247 Sports more so propping them up. I'm thinking to myself, you do realize that 70% of the transfer portal are players that could not cut it at their former team. So they're quitting and they're coming to your team. Now, sure, there's a few nuggets out there, and gold nuggets like Jameson Williams of Alabama, who came from Ohio State, where they had a loaded wide receiver room. You're going to get those few little gold and diamonds in the rough every once in a while. But for the most part, like I said, 70% of these players are not going to work out. So you being the king dingaling of the transfer portal, I'd be like out recruiting Prairie View A&M or something on the HBCU level. Oh, wait a minute. Whoops. You did do that, didn't you? You out recruited Prairie View A&M. Man, that was quite an accomplishment, man. And let's see you out recruit, I don't know, Utah or Colorado State. You might be able to out recruit Colorado State, but yeah. Matt Rhule said, I hear some other schools saying they can't wait for today to go out and round them up some quitters. Now, the quitter part I added in there, but that's exactly what Matt Rhule is saying. Rhule said, I can't wait to coach my guys, the guys who made a real commitment, in other words. Guys that have committed to their program and are not looking for an easy out. Like I said, I don't have an issue with people going into the transfer portal, but can't you wait at least 2 years to maybe make a decision of whether you want to leave and go somewhere else after you've invested all that time and effort into going to that school? You obviously like that school more than the rest of them. So, I mean, give it a chance. Don't be a quitter like old Deion Sanders and just dip out and make false promises and lead people on. You know, because that's exactly what he did at Jackson State. People can call it hating on Deion and all that crap they want to, but he told Jackson State and he told the HBCU community that he was going to raise them up, like he was going to put them on the Division 1A level. He never come out and said those specific words, but he alluded to it, and we all know he did. So if you're taking up for him, it's just because you got some man crush on this loudmouth spastic, and I still don't understand it to this day. But instead of the loudmouth Hollywood approach like Con-Time Deion Sanders, Matt Rhule said, if you notice in our videos, we're always working at Nebraska. Another little slight shot at old Deion Sanders. And what's pretty cool is week 2, Deion Sanders and Matt Rhule will be meeting on the field. I'll be interested to see if Deion Sanders tries to instigate or antagonize Matt Rhule like he did Tim McCarver back in the day at the World Series when he poured water on his head just because Tim McCarver criticized Deion for trying to play 2 sports and not really giving it his all to either team. And then you have the incident with Eddie Robinson Jr. last year where he disrespected him as well. I'll be interested to see if he pulls the same shit with Matt Rhule. He might find himself clotheslined out there in the middle of the football field at Boulder. In conclusion, with all the recruits out there, high school recruits and transfer portal guys, the ones that's deciding whether to go play for Deion Sanders, who I call Con-Time. The reason why I do that is because if you go back and look at his history, even though he professes to be a man of God, and that really pisses me off because I really believe deep in my heart that he's just using that to prop himself up in a way. Can't prove that, but I still believe it. And if you go back and look at his history and the fact of what he did at Jackson State. Now, he went to Jackson State and he won a lot of games, but you got to remember, he was recruiting against Prairie View A&M, Southern University, and he was luring in some of these 4- and 5-star athletes. He didn't get a lot of them, but he got enough that he would have an extra ultra edge over these HBCU schools. He's not going to have an edge here. He lured those players in, lied to them, told them that he was there for the long haul, and then he dipped for the first big Power 5 school he could get. Probably one of the worst Power 5 schools right now in Colorado. He said it wasn't about money, but it was definitely about money for Deion Sanders, or more so being on a big stage. And he claimed he was going to lift up the HBCU level, and he did none of that. Hell, every time Jackson State played in the Celebration Bowl, they lost. So you just gonna have to make a gut feeling type call here with Deion Sanders. That's all I got to say about that. But yep, old Con-Time, he's at it again. But he's gonna get revealed, I do believe. He's gonna have his little skirt pulled down once he gets into the football season in Colorado. Yeah, be really interested to see if Deion Sanders, if they win like 3 or 4 games next year, which is what they're probably gonna do, if he's as gung-ho the second year around. Because I just don't see it. I don't see it. He'll be out of football within 3 or 4 years, in my opinion, as far as coaching goes. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, there's a heart down here. If you don't mind, hit that. Throw me a few dollars in the coffers. And as always, KMCA. To all the other teams, class is now officially dismissed.